I'll remember this night for the rest of my life.
Of course. So will I.
Hello and welcome back to YCFT. We are doing another Versus. We are looking at another slasher. This is one of these is one of the earliest slashers.
Yeah.
We're looking at 1980s Prom Night and comparing it with its 2008 remake of the same name, Prom Night. That for the most part is actually where the similarities kind of end.
Yes.
I'll throw it out straight away. The 2008 one has about 9% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It is 9% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's not
which is
a good film, but it's better than 9%. I'd say it's easily up into like the 40s or the 50s.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah,
it's not the worst horror film I've seen by far.
Prom Night's an interesting one, and it's actually referred to in Scream as Randy Meeks' favourite slasher, isn't it?
It is. In Scream 2, he says it to Ghostface.
Yeah.
It's like, Prom Night, absolutely.
Yeah, obviously it stars Jamie Lee Curtis, the recently minted final girl from Halloween.
Yes.
So the basic premise of the first film, the original Prom Night, is the film opens with a group of kids who are bullying this little girl, playing this game, like this weird variation on hide and seek, something to do with killers trying to find a victim.
Killers are coming. It's basically hide and seek.
It's weird. It leads to the little girl falling out the window and dying.
Yes.
They vow never to speak of it to anybody.
Yes.
Very, I Know What You Did Last Summer.
It's very I Know What You Did Last Summer, for sure, but just with kids.
Yeah. But someone saw them. I'm not going to reveal who the killer is just yet, because we do need to talk about it later on.
But there was a witness.
So, in the evening of their senior prom, many, many years later, the killer has come back for revenge, and everyone who was involved with that murder, we call it murder or manslaughter, what is it?
I mean, it's an accidental death, but it's like they kind of did bully her, you know what I mean?
Out the window,
it's like, yeah. They could have been a bit more careful.
Everyone involved with the death of this little girl is going to be killed.
Yes.
And that's Prom Night. That's basic. It's this very, very simple plot.
Yeah.
The plot of the 2008 one is the only thing it really has in common is that there's a killer, the name, and the town. I think the one thing that all the films, because there are 3 weird sequels to the original one, the only thing they all have in common, other than one actor being in the original 4, which I've only just recently found out, just as a side
but not
character,
playing the same character.
they're all set at the same school.
Yeah.
The 2008 one, Prom, it isn't happening in the school, it's in an expensive hotel. It's a teacher. Everyone is aware of who the killer is at the beginning, because the film opens with him murdering our lead, played by Brittany Snow.
Yes.
Murdering her family to be with her.
Yeah, he's a stalker.
He's a stalker,
He's obsessed with her.
A year or so later, he escapes from mental institute.
Yeah.
And basically wants to be with her again, which leads to the death of more people.
At the prom.
At the prom.
Yeah.
So 2 very, very different films, 2 very, very different approaches.
For sure.
In usual Versus, we tend to like bounce back and forth, like comparing scenes, but it's going to be kind of difficult to this. There's a chase scene in both of them which we can compare, but other than that, like they really are.
They're miles apart.
Miles apart. If you change the name of the 2008 one, there might have been a few people who go, "Oh, this is similar to Prom Night."
Yeah.
And there'll be a lot more people saying, "Are you mad?"
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I do quite like, as different as they are, that Prom Night is just kind of like cannon fodder for American horror movies. Nothing good ever happens at proms in horror.
It's prime for rom-coms as well.
It's prime for rom-coms, for shenanigans to ensue. But I mean, it's got to be said. So even though I think we both agree that 2008 is the weaker of the 2 films, Prom Night 1980, as much as we think we love it, we also agree it's not a great film.
No, editing is kind of all over. It's cut together in a really weird way. The script in places a bit off. The amount of red herrings for the killer is it's just weird, and it makes the film flow in a really, really strange way. And the first half is quite slow. Although once the final part with all the killing starts happening, the film's actually incredible.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
I am going to say, I do think Jamie Lee Curtis is better in this than she is in Halloween.
Oh, I totally agree.
Because she has more to do.
she's just more of a well-rounded character, I guess.
Yeah, and you can tell she's having a lot, because she requested to be on this when she got.
She did, yeah. She wanted to do it.
And I think she wanted to play off Leslie Nielsen as well.
She did.
Yep, Leslie Nielsen in this. This is the same year that Airplane came out, so it would have been one of the last serious roles he did.
Yeah, because he actively wanted to do comedy, which is really nice. Usually it's the other way around. Comedians want to start breaking into like the serious stuff, but he was a really well-established serious actor, and he really was desperate to do comedy. So yeah, I mean, he is totally wasted in this movie. Like, his character literally disappears for like the last 25 minutes.
Following on from that, should we talk about some of the things that we think kind of don't really work before we get into the stuff that makes this thing kind of like iconic?
Yeah.
So there's a whole subplot with an escaped lunatic.
Yes.
Who was blamed for the killings at the beginning of the film, and apparently was in a car, like a police chase that we don't see. We see one shot of him covered in bandages.
Yeah.
Because he's been in a car crash and burnt half dead. So you have the police kind of like lurking around because they assume that he's out for revenge.
Yes.
And he does kill a nurse.
Yeah.
Never comes back into the story. He is not the killer.
No.
Is complete red herring. The police are basically pointless in this entire film.
Yeah.
The film also, like I said, it sets up the potential of Leslie Nielsen to be the killer because he just disappears near the end of the film. It's because it was his daughter that died at the beginning. So if you actually think about it, if they followed along that and have it be the father looking for revenge, that could have really worked, but I just don't think they laid enough of the groundwork for us to really think. There's also, like, from deleted scenes, they wanted to maybe think that it could be their mother, because it shows that she really hasn't dealt well.
She's totally traumatised by what
There's
happened to her youngest daughter.
A bully-type character who's the cringiest character in all of this. He's the first person we see in the iconic black ski mask that the killer wears.
There's also the alcoholic janitor.
Oh, the alcoholic janitor. There was so many people that they want us to think as killers, but at no point through the film did I think...
Yeah.
Because we only watched this recently for the very first time, and we actually had no idea how the film ended.
No.
And I did really like it, but there is a lot of like blaring issues for it, and the red hair...
Well, I think you guessed who the killer was.
I guess you didn't know, did you?
I didn't, to be fair. I was kind of like oscillating between a few people, but you were like, oh, it's so-and-so.
Yeah, I think I got that quite early on,
yeah, I know. In hindsight, it's kind of obvious.
Yeah,
but
when we rewatched it for this video, to me there's a lot of scenes that now don't make a lot of sense when you know who the killer is.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like my main issues with... Oh, also... I said, it's not the main issue. I haven't got to the main issue yet. Is that when the killings start, this bit isn't the issue, because a lot of the killings are a lot of fun. They're quite basic, but they are quite well done. It's actually not even like that bloody of a film. Mm-hmm. It's not that gory. And this came out like not long after Friday the 13th, wasn't it?
It was 2 months after Friday the
1980 was a great...
What a year.
Yeah. None of the people that are being killed know why they're being killed. Obviously, we know why they're being killed, but there's never a moment. It's like they don't even really lurk on the fact that they get a creepy phone call at the beginning of the film.
No, they just kind of instantly.
And he always kind of says something to them before he kills them. And it's kind of brief moment of, oh, this is that person I was talking to earlier. But they never get told why. Yeah. So they're just being chased down and murdered. I feel like this film was made today, they'd make a point of being like, maybe even Silent Night Dead, they're like, punish! Like, enough to jog their memories as to why they're being hunted down.
I completely agree, and it stood out the first time we watched it. And if this was a modern film, I think that they would play into, like, the conspiracy side of it a little bit more. But as it is, we've got, so the four co-conspirators at the beginning, the four who accidentally kill little Robin, who agree they're never going to speak of it. A few of them are now firm friends with Jamie Lee Curtis, but she's of course none the wiser that her friends were technically involved in the death of her sister. And yeah, we get some creepy phone calls, but yeah, as David says, none of the characters put two and two together. There's no scene where the characters have a moment together where they reminisce about what happened, or, where they feel guilty about what happened. At one point, Jamie Lee, she's with her boyfriend Nick, and they're just walking along the beach.
He's one of the conspirators.
He is one of the conspirators. And she's talking to him about, how she's worried for her mum, who's like, prom is like triggering a lot of stuff for her. And Nick kind of comes close to admitting that, what actually happened, but then, something happens and she has to leave and he misses his chance.
I want you to know Robin's death. I remember it. I've always been really sorry about it.
But it just felt like it was a bit of a wasted opportunity because with every kill, the characters just don't come to realise why. And I guess it kind of works in like a weird way. But
it's like kind of like real life, like maybe you wouldn't be monologues to as you're being killed.
Yeah.
But it also kind of leads to another issue, is that Jamie Lee is the final girl. As much as she is a really good character in this of Kim.
Yeah.
She's really enjoyable.
She's sexy, like she's kind of confident.
Yeah.
She's very different from Laurie in Halloween.
Yeah, very, very different. But she also, like, in traditional style, fashion of the time, like, a final girl doesn't really know what's going on until very late on in the movie. She doesn't find out that people are dying until the last scene of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, right at the very end, she has no idea that most of her friends are dead.
Yeah.
And she's, like, struggling with the killer.
Yeah.
Because obviously the killer's after her boyfriend, who's the prom king.
Yeah.
With her. And it's like, there's no revelation.
There's no moment where, you know, she gets to confront any of the survivors or, you know, like say anything or like for it to really kind of sink in before end credits.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those like really abrupt endings.
Yeah.
That's so like typical of that time.
Yeah. I want to talk about the two best sequences in the entire film. There's the chase with what's the name of the character?
Oh, Wendy the bitch.
Wendy the bitch. There's always a bitch type character. I don't think we need to get into that.
Wendy...
It's a prom video. It's a prom night movie, so you need to have some sort of like
Wendy,
people
who looks about 30 years old as well, but you know, was still in high school.
She's being chased down.
30-year-old teenager.
Yeah, through the school corridors by the killer wielding his axe, and it's the best sequence. You were saying that you really like how you can tell that he's a slender. He's definitely a student along with them. Just he's not a big burly guy, but simple things like you look at his boot, like his leather shoes, his cut off pants. It's like this film. Sorry, I've totally just interrupted you when you were about to start something there.
It's all right. I'll chime in accordingly.
Like this whole film is just a time capsule for, because you know when you start a new decade, like 1980 wouldn't have looked like the rest of the 80s. No. It still would have looked like the 70s. This is almost a time capsule for the 70s. Like the music, the way it's filmed, the fashion.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful in that way.
Well, I think it was filmed in 1979. It would have been the same as Friday the 13th. Filmed in 79, released in the summer of 1980. So yeah, it's more reminiscent of the 70s. We've got to get onto the disco scene because that is like peak 70s.
Also, the three best scenes, and I forgot about the disco scene for a moment.
The disco scene. But no, what I was going to say when you were just saying like I kind of like how he looks, the killer. It was more just like a weird crush thing that I have. I just like the all black kind of ensemble, and yeah, he's not a big burly killer. Like he is it's clearly a man, and I think also the phone calls at the beginning kind of make it obvious, and like you can see the hand on the phone, and you know it's clearly.
Sorry, can we get back to the crush on the man all in?
I just kind of like his physique in the outfit, and like the pants and like cuts off, and like you see his little boots, and yeah, I just kind of Let's move on from this.
I like how the balaclava's like it's like got a slight shine to it, like slightly sparkling. I think so to catch the light. I really like that. But that whole chase, initially she was meant to be wearing a black dress. It was a cinematographer that went, "Do you want her to be seen in this?"
Yeah, in which case we got to switch this up.
Yeah, they rang around desperately trying to find anyone with a dress and didn't. So the costume department made her dress on the spot. And instead it was held together with like tape and clips, but it looks great. And to be honest,
looks great.
Really does help sell that entire scene, because she is in this red sparkly dress contrasts so much against all the dark backgrounds, and especially against him. There's so many nice shots like her leaning up over like a desk in a science lab, and because it's reflective at the bottom, it's like mirroring her eyes. There's a big thing about eyes throughout this entire film.
Yeah, close-ups on eyes.
Clearly. Something the sequel didn't follow on with.
No.
So that whole sequence is great. And she's one of the few ones who actually notices that someone has been killed, because she hides in a closet and sees the dead body of one of her friends.
Yes. And Wendy, she's, like we said, she's the bitch. Like, she has a bit of a rivalry with Jamie Lee, because Jamie Lee is now dating Nick, who is Wendy's ex. And Wendy is pissed that Nick
she's also prom queen, which is pissing her off.
Yeah, Jamie Lee and Nick are prom king and queen. And Wendy is not happy about that, and she's just jealous of Jamie Lee. That she's prom queen, and also she's stolen her man. So Wendy has like the subplot that she wants to try and sabotage the ceremony, I guess, of the king and queen announcement.
But it doesn't really do anything.
No, but she's the bitch, and she's also kind of like the lead conspirator of the kids. Like, she's the one, right after Robin dies, she's the one that's like, right, we need to vow we're never going to speak of this, we're going to go to jail. So she's kind of like the ringleader. But yeah, she's a fun character, and I do like it. And that whole sequence is a lot of fun.
Is brilliant. The second best. I don't even know where I'd rank these. We got to talk about... I've lost his name.
My man Slick.
Slick. Is it shit? What's his real name?
Seymour.
All right, he's
not a name.
The short, chubby, looks a bit nerdy. Literally,
totally my type in high school, by the way.
What am I learning? I know you've had weird crushes on older men, so I was expecting you to go for Leslie Nielsen in this. You've went for the killer, who's dressed all in black, and now the short, nerdy guy.
All I'm saying, if I was in high school, if I was going to prom, Slick would have been like, if he'd have asked me out to prom, I would have been very, very happy.
Okay. Slick is the best character in this film.
He's great.
He trumps Jamie Lee in every way, because in any other film, he would have been the guy who's looking to get laid, and he is.
Yeah.
But you would never have a chance of it. He'd be the comic relief. He's the type of guy... in like Friday the 13th Part 3, who is destined to die.
Shelley.
They call me Slick.
I can see why.
Yeah, he's the Shelley type character who would be destined to die. He gets together with a very attractive woman. Jude. He gets laid. And he's like, this night is both simultaneously the best night and the worst night of his life.
Yeah.
And that whole sequence in his van, like, I love it. They're so cute together.
They actually are. And like, okay, so this is another weird thing. I totally agree that whole sequence is a lot of fun. And ordinarily, these two characters together, I'd be like, alright, I ship these guys. Like, I like it. I can see it. Jude, she's a fun character.
I'll remember this night for the rest of my life.
Of course.
Also, her death scene where she gets the shard of glass to her neck, and then like the whole fumble with the killer, and then the van ends up going over the edge. It's great. It's really well made.
Because she's leaning against doors, and the woman's also just falls backwards and straight down.
Yeah.
It's so clean.
Well, she's like, I'm going to remember this night for the rest of my... Instantly gets the shard right to the jugular.
He's just like, ah!
Oh my God. But yeah,
their struggle in the van, like driving around, it's so good.
Yeah.
But it just makes you think, like, he deserved to live. Also, because he had nothing to do with the killings. Yeah. He doesn't need to die.
But like, this is another like little... I don't know, is it a nitpick or is it a criticism? I don't know. Because again, like, we've kind of touched on the fact that the characters... They don't come to realise why they're being targeted. They don't even realise that they are being targeted. No one puts the pieces of the puzzle together. Like, there's a serial killer in our midst. And, like, no one realises the danger that they're in. But with that, we obviously know as the audience that these characters are involved in this really, horrible crime. And never at any point is there any guilt that comes with it. It's like they're friends with Jamie Lee. And it kind of puts you in this weird position of like, when they do start dying, are we on the killer's side or are we not meant to be on the killer's side?
A lot of them are quite likeable characters. Cause,
yeah.
What's the name of the girl in the other...
the shy one, like the virginal one, Kelly.
Because when she gets killed off, she is gone with her prom date and they, might be about to get it on. She decides she doesn't want to, so he's kind of like done with her at that point.
He's a scumbag.
And
like,
that's when she gets attacked. And it's like, well, in that moment, she's in a very vulnerable moment. She's in a horrific situation that no woman ever wants to find themselves in.
Mm.
When she dies, I don't feel like she deserves it in that moment.
No.
All I feel is pity.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
her.
Exactly.
And I think that's a problem that the film has. Like, at no point, even to an extent, I can never remember the characters' names. The bitchy one. Wendy. I don't feel sorry for... I don't feel like the killer's right in killing her. For some reason, like... She's a bit of a bitchy character, but she's also not that malicious.
No, she's the traditional, like, bitch in the high school. She's a popular girl, and she's... Yeah.
Which is also still just kind of like a normal person. Again, it's if they were confronted with what they'd done, it might work a bit... better. But like moments like that one in the locker room, it's like, how are we supposed to be on the killer's side for this when none of this scenario leads us down that path? Like,
yeah. And it's, like Jude as well. Like, Jude is, again, she's one of the conspirators, and she's very good friends with Jamie Lee, and is hiding the secret and is actively decided to, you know, keep the secret from one of her best friends. And yet when she dies, it's kind of hard to feel like she deserves it. Do we just put it down to the fact that this is a very low budget film and the script was penned by someone who's maybe not as...
Well, also, they had like 2 weeks to film this in the fact that it's actually filmed in 2 different schools, because they filmed it like in August right before term started, so they had very limited time to shoot. But you can't actually tell that it's 2 different schools, which is I think that a lot of props.
Yeah.
But it meant they had free reign, but also like towards the end of their shoot, the school was starting to come into set up for term, so that there could just be a fact that they didn't have the time. Yeah. So the third best scene is the disco scene. When prom opens, you got Jamie Lee and Nick dancing to the Prom Night song.
Yeah.
And it goes on for like, well over 3 minutes.
I think it's like 3 minutes 18 seconds or something, isn't it? It's like
it's wonderful. It's cheesy.
Okay.
Jamie Lee can dance.
Jamie Lee can dance.
Yeah.
She can absolutely dance. Like, without any kind of warning, this film literally turns into Grease. And that is not even an exaggeration. Like, we get a full-on them Nick and Kim in the middle of the dance floor just going for it to a really, like, fucking groovy song that was penned specifically for the film as well.
It was penned for the film to sound different enough from another song that they'd actually filmed with. Yeah. Which they did get sued over.
We get the Titanic dance move in this.
Before Titanic.
Sam, the Jack and Rose spin.
I hate to break to you, but I think that was a thing before Titanic. It wasn't made for Titanic.
When they spin on the dance floor, and you know she's like Jack, and then we get it in this. We get it. Jamie and Nick, they do it.
I think it's better in this.
It's actually really good.
Yeah, that whole sequence it's really good. It's well choreographed.
Fucking turns into great. And there's another moment that I clocked when we most recently watched it. Is Nick and Wendy at some point at the prom get a little bit too cozy, and Kim, Jamie Lee, like she clocks this and then she kind of storms off really upset. And it just struck me that is the most like Danny and Cha-Cha scene from Grease that I could think of. And it's like, it's the equivalent of Olivia Newton-John just storming out in a huff because her man's just like paired off with this other woman. Yeah. It turned into Grease, which was only like, well, when they filmed it would have only been a year old. Yeah. So it would have been, you know, in people's minds, like... Potentially. You know, it's a very, like, big, recent film.
Should we get into the climax and proper spoiler territory for this?
Yes, we should.
Most of the conspirators are dead at this point, apart from Nick. You've got Lou, who's the really poorly acted bully.
Who's not a conspirator.
Who's not a conspirator, who was kind of, like, taking him out to one side so he can pretend to be prom king as part of the prank. Yeah. And he straight up gets beheaded, and it's a really good...
The decapitation scene is awesome. Yeah. The effect of it is fantastic.
Yeah, it's when he's like, you see like the fake head roll, and when it next cuts to it, you can tell they've just kind of cut a hole in the floor so to put the real actor's head through it. It looks really, really good.
It's really good, yeah.
So that means there's panic. It clears everybody out. There's bedlam. And it leads to like the killer. He's not a very inept killer, is he? Like, he's not very good at what he does.
No, he's not, bless him.
Goes for Nick. And they wrestle. Jamie Lee fights back with him as well.
And yeah, she puts up a good fight.
She does. But this is obviously, like I was saying before, this is the first moment where she kind of has any idea that anything's been going on. Yeah. In her mind, Lou is the only person who's died.
Yeah, exactly. She's got no idea that her friends have been killed.
Yeah. So she grabs the axe and clocks him in the head with it. I don't think it's with a spike hit. She basically gives him like a massive concussion, like splits his head open. And in that moment, she looks into his eyes and recognises him. Yes. It's her brother.
Yeah, it's Alex.
He was there. He saw.
Yeah.
Robin. So what I was saying earlier, it would have worked really well if it was the dad. It also does really work when it's the brother.
Yeah, it's a family member.
Yeah, it's a simple revenge plot.
As is most, not most, but a lot of slashers.
And also, he's kind of dying. He doesn't really have much time to say what's going on. They killed her. Yeah. So in theory, after this scenario, Nick is going to have to explain what had happened.
But also, like, in Jamie Lee's
she's
mind...
not going to be okay.
In that moment, she's going to think, wait, Lou? Lou killed Robin? Like, no, he didn't. But it's like, Lou is he's an arsehole, but he wasn't guilty of that.
Great performance by the pair of them, by Jamie Lee and, like, the brother character. Yeah. Like, They do really well. It's actually quite moving.
Yeah, because that's her second sibling she's lost now.
But we have actually spent a fair bit of time with him in this film.
Yeah, we have, and he's kind of portrayed as like this innocent guy. Like we didn't clock this the first time, but he is Robin's paternal twin.
Yeah,
I think they're not identical. But yeah, I missed that the first time. But I think that would also explain like the added need for revenge, like he was close to Robin on a level that like no one else could ever really understand. So that okay, like that made a bit more sense, I guess. But yeah, he's this really sweet guy. Like he always stands up for Jamie Lee. When Lou assaults her in the cafeteria in the canteen
in 2023 is very hard to watch. He forces her to kiss him. It's like,
forces her to kiss, yeah. And then like Alex comes in and he stands up for her and he helps her. But yeah, it's like upon rewatch, you mentioned like it kind of weakens the kills a bit when you know who and why, and like some scenes don't necessarily make a lot of sense. Yeah, I guess.
As I said, and through the whole prom, you have this police presence that really doesn't add anything to the story.
I know you said it earlier, but yeah, the film really doesn't do a good job of juxtaposing the two storylines. Like the prom thing and like the need for revenge from the killer and the escaped convict plot, they don't mar together really well. And I always forget that the escaped convict is out there, like is a potential suspect, because there's no actor really that plays him. Like we don't really get to see his face, we don't really see him in action or anything, so he's very easy to forget. And again, I think we can just put that down to low budget.
Should we use this as a transition into the remake?
Yes.
Obviously 2008, full swing of the remake era. We'd had Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 2003. We'd had Halloween in 2007. Or this one came in 2008.
Yes.
What was the name and director of this one?
He's a guy called Nelson McCormick.
Yeah, who directed? I don't even think I asked who directed the last one.
He's a man called Paul Lynch, who I would just like to add was originally from Liverpool and moved to Canada. So a Scouser directed.
Can you imagine a Scouse and Canadian accent mixed together?
We heard it, didn't we, on the making of it, and it is.
It is a bit weird.
The Scouse never leaves you.
So yeah, I've often seen it described as it feels like a music video. It kind of does, with a very grungy colour grading. The cut. It's like, slow down for a moment, please. Yeah. I don't dislike this film. In fact, I've watched it twice now, again, in the lead up to this. I don't dislike it. There are some things I think it actually does quite well, and I'm going to say it because following the last one, the police presence. The police is played by, the main detective is played by Idris Elba.
Who's great in it.
It's Idris Elba. He's amazing.
He's a good character as well.
But we actively, and it's got James Ransone as his partner. I love James Ransone.
Yeah.
We actively see the investigation because they were involved when he killed our family at the beginning of the film. Yeah, so when they found out he's escaped, he's taking charge on trying to find him, trying to make sure that Brittany Snow's character, what's she called?
Donna.
So Brittany Snow isn't great in this, I'm going to say. Saying that I love her in X. Yeah. I think she's doing the best with what she has, but I think we can say that for a lot of the characters.
Yeah, she's not the strongest final girl.
But yeah, the police side of it is done so much better because we actually follow them. We see the investigation. They are actively a part of the story. They're looking for the same person as well, which does help. So that actually, I think, is a massive improvement on the first one.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the killer, by the way, his character is called Richard Fenton. And yeah, he was once Donna's teacher, obsessed with her, killed her family, and that, stalking her.
Yeah. What's weird is, when you look at him, at the beginning of the film, he has like a bit of a beard, he has long hair, he looks a lot like Charles Manson.
Yeah. Yeah, he does. I mean, there's a mix of like Manson and Bundy. So physically, well, at one point he looks a bit like Manson, and then other times he looks a little bit like Bundy.
When it comes to later when he's escaped, he's had all his hair cut off, he's shaved, and that's when he looked like Ted Bundy. And when he escapes in the same way that Bundy escaped, by going through the vents. It's a direct parallel with him. But do you not think it would have made more sense to swap it around where if he looked like Bundy when he was a teacher and then Manson after he'd been locked up? Do you not think they got it the wrong way around?
Kind of. I mean, I guess there's the added thing of Manson as well. It's like he killed, like it's a home invasion at the beginning. Like he sneaks into the house and he kills them one by one. Of course, Manson wasn't technically there for the actual murders, but still.
A lot of the victims have that realization because they know him.
Yeah.
And I really like that. Like we said in the last one, there's no realization. Like one literally calls out who he is as charges. They know they were taught by him.
The escaped convict element is firmly part of this Prom Night storyline, and it's integrated much better than 1980. But yeah, bold choice for us to know who the killer is.
Yeah, and we kind of do follow him as well. Like,
yeah, we do. Yeah,
he is a bit weak though, and pretty much all his kills are just with this weird like.
I think
it's like that anyone who's seen Jurassic Park, like the little raptor claw fossil. That's basically what his knife is. That's what it looks like.
I do think the guy does a good job of like looking creepy. He doesn't really have a lot of dialogue, but when he's just kind of like watching and like waiting.
If anyone's seen You, he basically does like this, dons the cap.
He's a very good looking man, and I think like that powerful jaw, and like that.
But you wouldn't want to be locked in an elevator with him or anything like that. He has this creepiness about him, which I really enjoyed.
I would not. I feel like the film would have hit a bit differently if they'd have hired some like, I don't know, like
creepy looking guy,
traditionally looking stalker. But the fact that you've actually hired like a good looking actor to play this role, it just kind of adds like another kind of menace to it. Yeah, there's no disco scene in this one though, so instant weak.
There's barely a prom in it because so the prom, like I say, it takes place in this.
Very snazzy hotel.
Very snazzy hotel. We don't have prom in the UK. Well, we kind of do, but not nearly on the same level. It's basically just a party for us.
It's a piss up, essentially. I mean, don't get me wrong.
I said my prom, it was weird.
I got a nice dress for it, but
I didn't have a high school prom. I had a sixth form prom, or like a college prom, and our prom happened at an awkward time where half of us were 17 and half of us were 18. So some people could drink there and some couldn't.
Oh, like we had ours when we were all 18 and. Yeah, there's booze. It's in the UK,
I was there in a £20 tux from Asda.
I had a very nice dress in my. I really want you to include our pictures in this video, by the way.
I don't know if I can subject
people
to that.
You're going to do it.
Mine did not fit very well at all.
Our prom is like on a very different. I mean, we don't have king and queen either in the UK. Like we don't go through half. It's not a big deal in the UK as much as it is in the States.
Yeah. And this, I'm going to get something that really pisses me off about this film.
Okay.
Now, because they all know they would all recognise the killer on instant, there needs to be an excuse for them constantly to be leaving, to be alone, so you can get them. The minute they get to this prom, obviously we have the bitchy type character as well for them to bounce off. Within 5 minutes, all he goes, we need to go freshen up, we're going to go up to the room. You've just got there. Yeah. There are so many moments where characters will be sitting together for a couple of minutes and they have to find a reason to leave and go back up to the room. It actually gets really annoying how little time they spend at this prom.
Yeah, the film loses momentum because they're constantly leaving the prom, even the place where they've all been desperate to be, to just piss off upstairs into the hotel room for like weak reasons.
Yeah, Britney Spears' best mate. Hers
Lisa.
She wants to be prom queen because she wants it more than anything because the bitchy character she's always bought things. In her words, she wants to prove that she can't just buy everything, so she wants to beat her in something.
Yeah.
But then right before it's announced, she fucks up with her boyfriend to go have sex. And
it really fucking annoys me, this moment, because like there's literally, the film devotes a few minutes to this scene where Lisa's at the table and they're like, why do you want to win this so badly? And she gives this almost like borderline empowering speech, like about how she needs to do this, like she needs to teach this bitchy other character a lesson, and like, it's for her own sense of purpose and whatnot. So it's like, okay, so this means something to her. 5 minutes later, just before they're going to announce who is prom king and queen, she and her boyfriend go up to the room.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, you're going to have sex right before they're going to announce prom king and queen, something that you've just advocated is really important to you. Your hair's going to get messed up. Your makeup's going to get messed up. You're not going to come back inside unless you can 5 minutes, who knows. But it's like that scene just literally made no sense.
It completely undercuts her entire character.
Completely. It just made that whole like speech redundant. Instantly redundant, like that, and that's just bad writing. Like at the end of the day, that was just really, really bad.
It's like the only character that makes good decisions in this, or logical decisions, is the killer.
Yeah, I know,
because he actually is a pretty effective killer.
Yeah,
and so following that, her character. Okay, sorry, what's her name? Both these films, I struggle to remember any of the characters.
The friend, yeah, Lisa.
Lisa is the one that's in the chase sequence this time.
Yeah.
And it's through for some reason as part of this hotel, it's like kind of under construction. which clearly isn't from the outside.
Yeah, somehow she ends up down in like the basement levels, doesn't she? Or
something. It's so much weaker because, like we said with the original one, they put her in a bright, sparkly dress to contrast. This is a very dark film. Yeah. She's wearing a dark dress.
Yeah, it's like a dark blue dress. Dark blue dress.
There's so many moments in this chase where she's basically silhouetted, and it has that like quick cutting music video type editing. And it's because I actually, like, apart from that massive flaw, I do like her as a character. I think she's very funny.
I actually quite like her too. She was the eldest cast member as well. Yeah, she was like 26.
I think she puts in the best performance. I think because she has the chase, she has more to do than Brittany Snow does for a lot of the time.
Yeah. It's also weird because like there's a moment earlier where she and like the bitchy character have a moment. And the bitchy character in this film has more of a rivalry with Lisa than she does Donna, who is our main character.
I don't get, why didn't they just call the characters the same names they were in the original?
Honestly, I don't know. But it's like the bitchy one, and I didn't write down who the bitchy one is, she's just the bitch. But she kind of confronts Lisa because Lisa's wearing this like quite revealing dress. And the bitchy one just kind of talks about, like, infers like she's quite, you know, slutty and like, I don't know.
I think she's jealous that she doesn't have as great a set of boobies as she does.
Lisa's has a banging body, like needs to be said. Lisa's beautiful, but she's also clearly not a teenager. Yeah. None of them are teenagers. She's clearly like in her mid-20s, and the actress was. But yeah, well, that's another thing too, because Prom Night, obviously, in 1980, we've got Wendy, who clearly is like a firmly established character. Like, she's got some kind of arc, she's got purpose. The bitchy one in this, I mean, I can't remember her name. Like, she's just so weak and not memorable. And also, like Brittany Snow as Donna. Donna is not a memorable final girl.
Yeah. It's sort of like she can't work out what's going on until quite late on in the film because obviously she's going to recognise the killer as well. And Lisa's the only one she's the first person to clock. She's like, oh my God, it's him.
Yeah. Yeah, she sees him, doesn't she? Like at one
she
point
thinks that he looks familiar and eventually just clock.
As she's upstairs going to have sex with her boyfriend.
Yeah, like major cock block.
Yeah, and he was going to propose.
Oh, that doesn't come back into it.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't need to be in there.
No.
Or does it make it more tragic that she died? Like, it's already quite tragic that she dies anyway because she's the most fun character in the film.
Yeah.
But the chase is just so underwhelming in comparison to the original.
There's also, like, they do the thing in the movie where it's like, right, we're going to announce prom king and queen, and they do, like, this almost countdown thing, and then it intercuts between them going to announce it, and then the chase going on with Lisa downstairs. And it almost feels like the film is really trying to build momentum to who's going to be king and queen, and it's like, we couldn't give less of a shit if we tried. Yeah.
I don't even know if I've got that much more to say on 2008, to be honest. Like,
no.
It's better than 9%.
It really is. I think that was really mean. I mean, it did okay as well. The budget was 20 million and it grossed 57.2 million, so it did pretty okay.
How did the first one do?
Oh, I don't know, my love, but
I know it had a budget of like 2 million or something like that, maybe 2.5. Like, it was a low budget film.
It did well. I think financially it did pretty well because Jamie Lee also was nominated for an award, wasn't she?
Yeah.
So it did okay. I mean, slashers were doing okay in
it just for a film that, like, Prom Night isn't. It's very rarely anyone's favourite slasher. Like, it's literally a fictional character's favourite slasher. So it seemed like an odd choice to do a remake.
Yeah, but it's, again, how is it a remake?
Yeah, it just doesn't really make any sense. It's a fine film. Like, I probably will watch it again because
I would.
It's easy to watch.
It's really
Idris
not
Elba,
terrible.
like I said, is a lot of fun in it. It's Idris Elba being Idris Elba.
Yeah, he's an effective cop.
Yeah.
You know, which is
it almost feels like Luthor's origin stories.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
In a way. I think also something that kind of lets it down is Fenton, the killer, almost kind of seems to have superpowers, just in terms of how quick, you know, he can disappear from a room or something like that, or just, you know, like, disguise himself, which is, I don't know if that worked very well. He can just, like, miraculously appear and disappear, you know, according to some kind of magic.
I do like how the film kind of ends back at... It's not the same house, but it ends, like, in her home, just like the film opens. Even obviously, she will... Because her stepdad, will be her uncle, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Is played by... I can't remember the name of the actor who plays the dad in, like, the Teen Wolf TV series. He just has a career playing dads.
Playing dads,
and I always like it when characters like that pop up.
Yeah.
So it's a fine movie.
It is.
Prom Night is also... It gets elevated from fine up to... I need to make a ranking system, really.
Yeah.
It's going up from fine to fun.
Prom Night 1980 is not a great film by any means, but it is a fun one to watch. But it is definitely an element that takes you back to rewatch it, is the fact that you basically time travel back to 1979 when you watch it. Like, everything from the decor to the costumes, like, to the way the characters kind of interact with each other, like, it's a time capsule. And I think that adds to its charm. And even to an extent, like, 2008, which is 15 years ago, like, we have memories of 2008.
Yeah. The Dark Knight came out in 2008.
It did. Iron Man was 2008 as well.
Yeah. The MCU started in 2008, the same year that Prom Night came out.
Yeah. So, like, we have...
Probably wasn't considering all the other massive caliber films that came out in 2008, it probably wasn't the best time to bring out a reboot of a half-famous slasher franchise.
It's like, when we rewatched it, I think part of it was like, oh god, like, look at the hair, or like, oh, look at the flip phone.
The phones.
And I feel like that kind of thing is only going to increase as more time passes by as well.
So might get more nostalgic. There will be more nostalgia for us going forward.
For sure. Which, a lot of the time with these, like, schlocky slashers is the reason why you go back to rewatch.
But when you compare it to other remakes around times, we did a whole video on, like, remakes and reboots. Following on from that, it was obviously Halloween was very controversial, the 2007 one, but it is like a very high quality remake.
Yeah.
And this is just kind of like, it's very diluted. It almost feels like the story was for another film that they made into a Prom Night film.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. It's like, it is forgettable, but it's better than 9%. And give it a watch.
I paid £3 for the Blu-ray, so I'm not particularly...
We're not complaining at all.
The 101 edition Blu-ray of the original one, it looks there's some scenes where it's like they're following the killer's feet, where he's like black clothing against a really dark background. You can tell they've tried to like bring up the brightness, and it's so like grainy. Yeah. But for the most part, the film looks really nice.
Yeah, I agree. I think between the two, if I had the choice, I would always choose to rewatch 1980. Yeah. Rather than 2008.
I kind of want to venture into the sequels, especially the second one is meant to be like really weird and fun.
It just clocks another thing that connects them, the sequels, is aside from the fact that it's the same high school, there is a line that's used in every single sequel.
Yeah. Oh, is it not? It's not who takes you, it's who you go home with.
Yeah, it's not who you go with, honey. It's who takes you home.
Is that in I can't remember that one in the remake. Is it in there?
I don't know if it's in the remake, but it's like in the original sequels, the run of sequels, it's always in there. It could be in 2008.
I feel like
maybe.
Yeah, I feel like it is.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway. They're both enjoyable films, but there's one that's definitely like superior to the other. It's weird. I think this is the first time we've done one where neither we don't class either of the films as being fantastic.
No.
Actually, no, that's a lie because we did Terror Train. That's an absolute lie. Another Jamie Lee Curtis one.
Yeah.
I forgot that because we don't class Terror Train as being amazing.
No.
But I had a lot of fun with that.
Oh, we love it. Yeah.
That's our second Jamie Lee versus.
Yeah. They're fun movies to watch.
In fact, we'll have another Jamie Lee versus later this year. If all goes to plan, we might be doing a Halloween H2O versus Halloween 2018 because they're very similar plots. And that's also Jamie Lee, but she's in both of them this time.
Also Jamie Lee.
Yeah. So, I don't even know where we can check. Actually, didn't you say all of the original Prom Night is on YouTube?
I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube.
I didn't know that before.
Can't vouch for the quality of it, but I'm pretty sure it's all on YouTube.
I don't know. Would you recommend it if people are trying to get into slashers?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah?
I would recommend 1980, for sure.
One thing we've not talked about is the rule... This is probably going on a lot longer than we intended. The rules of slashers hadn't quite been established yet in 1980. Because this would have been... Obviously jumped into the seasonal slashers right after Halloween. Mm-hmm. As we know, Black Christmas was like the first one. Mm-hmm. Halloween properly kicked it off. But the rule, like, you watch it now and you see those rules established by Randy and Scream of what needs to be in a slasher movie. Yeah. This kind of plays fast with those rules because the rules weren't quite cemented yet. Yeah, They were still trying to work things out. So it's like, in terms of like horror history and slasher history, it's actually quite an important film. It
is, yeah. You can clearly see the evolution of the rules kind of, taking shape. But yeah, Prom Night, it's in the very early... I mean, as I say, it's only 2 months after Friday the 13th, and I think before My Bloody Valentine, which was maybe the year after
I think that was 81.
81, yeah. So it's in the very kind of beginning phase of, the American slasher, anyway.
It's very cool. Right. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Mm-hmm. We hope you enjoyed this one. Any Americans? Because I know we do have a couple of Americans that follow. Tell us something weird about prom that we over here just wouldn't know.
Yeah,
because I imagine there's got to be some really weird traditions that we just don't know about.
I have a question as well, because Prom Night 1980, Kim and Nick are established as king and queen. Like, everyone knows that they're king and queen. Whereas 2008, it's going to be announced on the night who are king and queen. What's the rule? Like, do you know in advance, or is there like some grand announcement on the night? Like, that confused me. Or does it just kind of change according to the high school?
Do you remember the scene in 2008 where the jocks there's a scene of the jocks like sneaking a keg up via like a rope? It just basically has nothing to do with the film.
Yeah.
That's something the two films have in common. They both have side plots that don't make sense. Thanks for stopping by, guys. I've probably said that about 3 times. We'll see you next week.
Bye.